And welcome back to the Talking Archive. My name is Josh Jacobs, and it's a privilege once again to talk with Lois Travalena. And it's Thanksgiving week, and I hear a dog barking, getting excited about that in the background.
Yep.
And he can't wait for the turkey, can he? Just make sure he doesn't get to the turkey before you get to the turkey. Now, Lois, we were talking about how Fred was in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade 4 years in a row back in the late 80s, early 90s. And with Fred growing up in the Big Apple, how often do you attend the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in person growing up?
Well, I didn't live in New York, but Fred did, and I don't know. He never told me that if they ever went to a Macy's Day Parade. Probably not, because he was a big family, and they all worked, and taking the kids into the city would probably have been difficult. But no, and I had never, ever. I would watch it. I still watch it today. Mm-hmm. Every year, I see who's on and who's doing the funny things that they do. Oh, God. It was so wonderful. And he would get on that, whether it was let's see. He dressed up one year as, what was
the Joker?
That year? The what? The Joker.
From Batman, yeah.
And stood there the whole time. And then another year he was on a house, and he was singing a song, and I did finally find Macy's Day Parade. There it is. 1988, 89, 90, and 91.
Oh, there we go.
He was on a gingerbread float in 91. He was on an elephant float as the Joker in 90. He was on a train in 1989. And back in 1988, he was on a lobster float. So it was a hoot and a half to be on all. And I even wrote down what impressions he did. On the lobster float, he was singing Beyond the Sea, and he did impressions of Sinatra, Sammy, Johnny Mathis, Pee Wee Herman, George Bush, and Robert Wagner, and Nixon.
Wow.
I mean, you did things like that.
I'm imagining Richard Nixon singing Beyond the Sea.
Exactly. Yeah.
Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere.
Yeah.
Henry, you got to play with me.
Do you do impressions?
I do impressions, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Who?
I can do Match Game. Get ready to match the stars from Charlie's Angels, David Doyle, Brett Summers, Charles Nelson Riley, from Fernwood Forever, Deborah Lee Scott, from Family Feud, Richard Dawson, and from the Mary Tyler Moore Show, Betty White, as we play the star-studded Big Money Match Game PM. And now here's the star of Match Game PM, Gene Rayburn.
Thank you very much, Johnny Olson. Welcome to our show. And Brett, my dear, that's a lovely wig you've got on there. What about my wig, Jane? Well, I got you. Well, Chuck, ladies first, okay? And Richard.
Well, at least I'm not wearing a wig.
That's great. That's great.
Well, thank you.
Do you do anything with it?
I've done talent shows at churches and sometimes functions. I just started the Hollywood Prayer Network has a group of improv and stand-up comedy they're doing right now. So I've been a part of that the last month or two. And so, and also I'm part of a webisode series called The Fake News Show, where we parody headlines, and basically saving comedy from cancel culture is the motto of this show. And so I've gotten to impersonate different people. Like I impersonated Bill Clinton one time, as well as Bill Clinton's fictitious nephew, Paul, who is being sent to Mar-a-Lago to bleach Trump. I'm afraid Donald Trump right now. I can't. And then Hillary's like, all right, I'll protect you. Don't you worry about that. But I'm afraid. And so, and then it just basically we pretty much make fun of both sides politically equally. And it's a fun thing to do, which I think was cool, what Fred would do. He'd you didn't know whether he was left, right, or center because he made fun of pretty much everybody equally, which is something that's missing in comedy today, unfortunately.
Yeah. You bet. I was having a conversation with Ed Regine, comedian. We've known him for years. Fred met him first on a cruise ship, but he's traveled the country now, and he's a wonderful comedian. But we were talking about that, how the comedians of today just have no class, number one, and being dirty, filthy, saying bad words is their humor. And I've walked out of comedy shows. I will not attend if I hear it. Bye-bye. Don't want to. Give me my check. I'm leaving.
In fact, I went to a comedy. That's a club in Universal City. I forget the name of it, but I came there to support my friend Grace. Her name is Grace Ballant, and she's a clean comedian. And so that's the reason I went. And she was clean, but everybody else, some started off really good, but then they just started going to the lowest common denominator. I'm like, dude, it's like you start off so good. He had such great stuff, and then he had to go there. Yeah. There was one lady who did swear, but at least she was funny, and she didn't go for the, V jokes, D jokes, or bathroom humor. But I'm just sick of all that. It's like, dude, that's not cutting edge anymore. It's tired.
That's right. That's right. Well, there was they used to say that Frank Sinatra had such a bad mouth and cursed all the time. I knew his secretary of 35 years, Dorothy Ullman, and she said, I don't know where people are getting that because Mr. Sinatra never, ever said a bad word in front of a lady. Now, there's a difference between a lady and a hooker, I guess. I don't know. But he when I was around, I never heard a bad word from the man. And Fred said he would say it around men, I guess, if it was just a handful of men together. But around women, he had more respect for. Now that's what we heard, and I believe that. I trust that. Fred, in what do you call it when
intimidation?
Insinuated funny things. You could picture things of what was going on upstairs in the bedroom, something like that. But Fred would never use the words. And throughout his whole career, 50 years of never, ever cursing on stage. No.
Wow.
He didn't do it. So I don't know why we don't have comedians like that today. It's just wrong, really wrong.
It is. There was, I don't know if it still exists, but the way I met Fred the first time was through Clean Comedians. Adam Christing was one of the people that, I think he was the founder of it. Fred was part of it. I know Robert G. Lee, who actually teaches at the Hollywood Prayer Network's comedy workshop. He was part of it as well. In fact, Bob was in a production that I co-produced. It was a short film about 12 years ago called Skip Listening. And he was great in that production because we were looking for like a Gary Marshall type of person. And when he came in, it was like, okay, this guy kind of has that, that Gary Marshall type of vibe to him. We would have loved to have Gary Marshall himself, but hey, Bob was pretty good as well. But, too many people. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out somebody that, is a lot of the faith-based comedians are clean. Like, there's a guy named Tim Hawkins who is really funny. He, was talking about different Christmas songs, and he's like, a child shivers in the cold. We must bring him silver and gold. Silver and gold? The child's shivering. What about a blanket? What about some soup? Yeah, he's got pneumonia, but hey, he's got silver and gold.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
it's just kind of poking fun at the Christmas carols that you're like wondering, okay, what does this mean? Or another, or the Rockabye Baby. Who wrote this song anyway? Ozzy Osbourne's like, yeah, stuff on MTV can be kind of violent, but it's not that bad. So
God.
Jeff Foxworthy, I guess, is kind of clean. He's one of the cleaner comedians I can think of out there as far as, contemporary people. But yeah, it's few and far between, unfortunately. And to me, it's, an untapped market, definitely.
Yeah. It's. I hope that someday they'll go back to it, or there'll be some sharp executives behind the desks again who will say, we're going to have a comic show, a comedic show, and we're not going to use bad words.
Yeah.
That would be so awesome.
There's a improv group. I forget the name of it. It's sports. Comedy sports. I forget what it's called, but it's an improv group that's clean comedy, clean improv. And if you say a bad word or say something naughty, you have to wear a paper bag over your head for one of the segments as penalty.
Oh, wow.
Comedy sports. That's the name of it. Comedy sports.
Comedy sports.
It was a fun event, and sure enough, one person did go overboard and had to wear either a paper bag or a dunce cap. I forget what it was. One of those two things. And
and this was on television?
No, it was a improv comedy club.
Oh.
But I wish it should be on television because it was really, really funny. They were very funny people there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get back also about the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Yes.
How did Fred get the opportunity to appear in the Macy's Parade?
I don't remember the name of the gentleman who contacted Fred, but he called Fred. And he was a fan of Fred. I don't know if he saw him in a showroom or how it came about. And he contacted, Fred's agent, I guess it was. And, it just out of the clear blue. And we were so shocked. And when they asked Fred to do it, Fred said, "Oh my God, what am I going to do? What do you do on a Macy's Day Parade?" But he figured it out, and like I read some of the people to you, and I wish, wouldn't it be a hoot if the Macy's people each year would go back in history and pull out a couple segments here, there, and yonder of people of the past, just to remember.
Oh yeah.
To remember those people, yeah, because there were a lot of great people who performed in front of it, and it was funny because if the float had stopped and there were people behind Fred or behind anybody, and you would look at the people in the stands, looking at the float. But, of course, they couldn't see the person because the person was looking at the camera. And so you weren't seeing them smiling or laughing like we were laughing at home. And but still, it made big impressions on people to see somebody so talented to go in front of millions and television like that and be funny. It was really something. So I'm very privileged that I still have copies of it, of the four shows, and it's only his segments. It wasn't the whole parade, just Fred's segments, and I'm so grateful that I have them. I still have probably 8-9 boxes that I have yet to download to DVDs. One of my chores, one of my jobs in my life is to, and they were up to the ceiling and all around my office. I couldn't even walk through the room. And so I brought them down to about 8 boxes now, and I can't wait till I'm finished. What am I going to do with them? I have no idea, except like this. After I finish talking to you, I'm going to pull out that Macy's Day DVD and put it in and laugh.
Oh, definitely. Now, how many days did Fred have to arrive in New York before the parade in order to do rehearsals?
You don't do rehearsals.
Wow.
Well, I shouldn't say that now. No, because there would be music recorded prior. And yeah, so the music was recorded, so they play it as the float would come up and it would be playing, and he'd just sing along with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but he was live. He was live. He wasn't syncing. He was live with the music. But and he did get together with and I don't remember if he did the orchestration outside of New York or he went back to New York to have him recorded. I don't remember that. It was a long time ago for this older person.
Now, how many
getting older. Yeah.
Now, how many hours before the parade began did Fred need to arrive, like, at the green room? Because, I know with the Rose Parade, the royal court there, the princesses and the queen, have to arrive there at about 2 or 3 in the morning to get all made up and ready to go for a 7:30 showtime experience.
Well, I don't know. It wasn't that early. I know that, but if the kids were with me, we would get up and get dressed and ready and eat something, and then we would go, because we had reserved seating, and we would just go to our seating, and we could watch the whole parade. Fred, on the other hand, he did leave earlier than we did, and probably went to a green room somewhere, and depending on where he was in the parade, if he was in the beginning or in the end or wherever he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we were told where to go afterwards, and we would join him, usually up in the Macy's building, up on the top floor in a VIP room where they had all the people. Yeah, they had all the people in a socialite evening. Afternoon, whenever the parade ended. And we got to talk to everybody and eat food and just laugh and have fun. Yeah.
Were there
so fun.
Were there any memorable interactions from those years with any, like, stars or maybe some behind-the-scenes conversations that just stand out to you? This is a moment I'll never forget for you or Fred or both?
No, not for me, no, because I was in the stands watching the whole parade, and like I say, I always couldn't wait to see the one that he was on, so that we could stand up and yell and scream while he was performing. But on the whole, no, I don't remember. I'm getting older, and I can't remember way back then. But I know that the people of Macy's were very, very friendly and always said nice things to him. Yes.
That's great.
Yeah, it was so wonderful.
Now, after the Macy's gathering with people in the big building there, where did you go for Thanksgiving dinner usually those years?
Well, being that we were in New York, I think we ended up with some of the family. We would travel out to Fred's father and mother. My family was in Virginia, so we didn't go there. But yeah, we were with Fred's family, which was great. Just because he had a very big family, cousins and brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles. It was wonderful. Yes.
Wow. Were there any special dishes that Fred's mom and dad cooked up for you that was just unique? That
if there were, they were all Italian.
I'll bet.
Because his dad was Italian, and the mom learned how to make all that, and so they were great all the time. Every time we had dinners with the family, it was such a good time. Fred learned how to cook some of the Italian food. And I did too. My 2 sons have learned how to make good Italian food today. So that's interesting.
Wow. So Fred's mom was not Italian?
No, she was Irish.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. So he was Irish and Italian. and I'm German and Dutch. So our kids are just a mixture of four different countries.
Heinz 57.
Yeah, Heinz 57. It's great. It's great.
I did the Ancestry .com thing about a year and a half ago, and I was pretty much what I thought I was, but there are a few surprises thrown in there. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm like 1% Sardinian. I had to find out what that was. It's like some strange island in Italy that most people don't know about. So I'm like 1% Italian there, but I love Italian food, so I guess that's why.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is the Talking Archive. My name is Josh Jacobs. We're talking with Lois Travalena and about her husband Fred's appearances in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which he was in 1988, 89, 90, and 91. And next time, since it's the holiday season, we're going to be talking about Fred's album, The Manhattan Christmas Suite.